Hey, hello, and good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Tuesday night here in my neck of the woods. It's an art stream tonight. I'll be doing some photo editing of some black and white film that I shot about a week and a half ago over in Ithaca, New York. I was visiting some friends, and I went to the Ithaca City Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in the city of Ithaca. It was established in 1790, and it is largely historical at this point. It is still somewhat in active use, although very rarely. I think the last burial in there was from right around was during the pandemic, and it maybe one or two burials there a year now. So it's largely historical, but a fascinating place to walk through. A very, very fascinating place to walk through. And this was a particularly special excursion for me because of the camera I used. So my boss knows that I love doing the photography thing, and so she loaned me her camera that she's had for 40 years. And she wanted me to fix it up, clean it up, see if it still works. And so I'll show you the camera. I'll show you the camera that she loaned me. It is a Pentax K1000 35mm SLR. You know, you can see some of the age, some of the leather backing is wearing off. It's got a 50mm lens attached to it. And it is completely manual. There is no auto anything, no electronics, well, very, very few electronics of any kind. Manual focus, manual film advance, manual rewind of the film, manual loading, and it's the only electronic component in this whole thing. It does have a battery in here. It's like a watch battery, but all it's used for is the light meter inside, which is just a needle that goes up or down depending on whether your scene is too bright or too dim, and then you have to adjust your shutter speed up on the top here, this dial here, or the aperture, which is surrounding the lens. That's it. That's it. It is completely manual, and I had never shot with a completely manual camera before. Not even when I was learning, not even when I took Photo 1 in high school in 2003. I mean, even those cameras, these are SLRs, but they still had, there was at least the viewfinder was electronic, and, there was autofocus involved in some of those cameras. But never had I shot a fully manual camera like this. This is a 40-year-old camera, and you can tell this has some heft. It's metal. It's not the plasticky stuff you get today. This was a treat. And so, I put it through its paces. I loaded up a roll of my standard Ilford Delta 400 speed film and just shot off a roll of 36. And let me tell you, this was a learning experience because without a very precise electric light meter that's in most cameras today, some of the images, I'll show you some of the ones that were a bit on the dud side. Like, some were a bit blown out, some were a bit too dark. There was a few others that were slightly but noticeably out of focus. It was really, really cool. Just And now, well, first of all, it gave me definitely an appreciation for things like autofocus because I'm nearsighted. So I need something to tell me when something's in focus. I mean, that camera has a little help. It's got a guide in there, a focusing guide in there to help you. But like even in my big even in my Canon 35 millimeter and my medium format, my Pentax, I could use those in manual mode. But those cameras at least have an audible beep to tell me when the subject is in focus. This doesn't. So it was a fun time, let me tell you. Turn my music down a bit. It's getting a little loud. But yeah. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna edit some of my favorite ones from this roll. And again, I shot a full roll 36. That's the typical. Whenever I shoot 35 millimeter, I typically shoot 36. So yeah, let's get started. So again, Ithaca City Cemetery in Ithaca, New York. If you like cemeteries, you like dead things, yeah, go check it out. So we start with this one. So we're on top of a hill. You can see the tops of some houses. Well, that's a house. That's a burial vault. Welcome, Icarus. Welcome. Oh, 39 months. You have been a subscriber for over 3 years. For 3 years, you've been throwing money at this. So thank you. Thank you very much. I love you. So we start with this image here. This was not the first image I shot. It just, can't get rid of you. No, we can't. I don't want to either. So on this particular day, when I had pulled up to the cemetery, it was very overcast, definitely foggy. So this middle area here, that is fog. That is not a camera trickery. Definitely fog there. But how you doing, Icarus? Long time no see. Where's my image mode? There we go. RGB color, so I have the full range. Curves are actually looking pretty good on this one. I could probably stand to make you drop later. Blacks are pretty good there. We definitely noticed some dust and scratches to be taken care of because that's just how my film scanner do. Clone tool will help with that. That is awesome. I wish you good selling. I have another friend who is also they're preparing for an anime fest. So they are in the middle of crocheting a bunch of stuff at the moment. There's an anime fest going on in somewhere New Jersey. That's something I hope to also get to at some point in the future, is doing craft fairs for my photography. I mean, obviously my safe for work stuff. I can't just pull up to a craft fair with all of my nudes and be like, hey! It just, but there's paperwork involved, and it's like, oh. And it's like, I work for New York State government. I know how the paperwork do, and I'm like, I don't want to. Like, what do you mean I have to do like things like sales tax ID stuff? You've recently taken crochet back up. You're making chickens. Are they clown chickens? You did snag a few clown doll patterns when you get better at this. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, what else? Do I see any other obvious dust and scratches that need my tweaking? So as I've mentioned before, so the way my film scanner works, I have right over here. I have my Epson Perfection V800 scanner. It's a flatbed scanner, and if you scan color film on it, it has a function called it has image correction technology, and it does a really really good job of filling in dust and scratches. And it's good for color film, not for black and white. Because there's no color information on a black and white negative for it to work with, the program cannot like do whatever sort of, math it needs to do to be able to correct the image. Which means that when I'm doing a black and white image, it means I have to do the digital equivalent of stipple. And if I'm being brutally honest, I'd much rather be doing that digital stipple than actual real life stipple to fix black and white print. Because that's a pain in the ass. All right. I think we are mostly there. Yeah. Okay, good. That looks pretty good. Let's break out the old brightness contrast sliders. Oh yeah, that improves the image immensely. And something else I'm going to do to this one is I'm going to crop it and get that frickin' power line or rope or whatever it was just out of there. Thank you. I don't need you. You are a distraction. So, I obviously did not stream the developing of the film live, so you did not get to see constant agitation. But this is what the film looks like when I develop it. After it's been developed, I should say. I actually did post a short little Instagram reel while I was developing, and discovered, to my absolute horror, that my baby's first Instagram reel got so much more attention than basically any photograph of mine that I've ever put up there. And it's just, ugh. Stop trying to be TikTok, Instagram. The frickin' algorithm. Bullshit. Let's just do my standard gradient. Oh, that makes it much better. I like that. Very nice. Very nice. Yes, exactly, Icarus. Exactly. I was just, gah. Like, I've got 200 followers or something on my Instagram, on my art Instagram. And, like, the same 5 or 6 people. It's like only them who sees any image of mine I put up there. But put up a video? Man, you get the likes. You just rack up the likes. And I'm just like, all right. And with black and white, obviously, is quicker to edit than color. All right, next one. Was that the one I was looking at? That one. That one was I was looking for. All right, yes. It's giving me the yes. Drink up, everyone. Hail hydrate and all that. This one I don't think is going to need much work. So as I was saying, I'll show you the camera again. So there's no electronic light meter in this ancient camera. The only way I could tell if my image is going to be anywhere close to being properly exposed is that when I look through the viewfinder and you finish your focusing and you aim it, there's a tiny little needle in your viewfinder that moves up and down. You know, if it's too bright, the needle will move up. If it's too dim, it'll move down. So you're trying to get it right around dead center. But because of that, that means you don't have, like, you can't tell how many stops your image is over or underexposed. Because, I mean, if your image is, like, slightly above the middle or slightly below, yes, you'll know that it's either slightly over or underexposed, but you don't necessarily know by how much. Like I said, I'll show you some of the oopsies that I got. Yeah, 40-year-old 35mm cameras. So, before I do that, I need to change my image to RGB colors so that I have the full range of editing tools. Oh, it was so cool shooting with that camera. I'm kind of a little annoyed that I have to return it to my boss later this week. However, that has not stopped me from going on eBay to look up used Canon AE1s, which are basically the same thing like that, fully manual cameras, but made by Canon. That one was Pentax. Yes, get me the camera. Small problem with that. I'm currently saving up money for my next two big photo purchases. The first one being a paper cutter, which I don't have, because now that I have my own photo printer and can make my own damn prints, I need something to cut them with. And so what I've been using for, luckily, because I only have right now 2 people on my Patreon who are throwing enough money at me to get prints every month. I only need to make 2 prints, so I just print out 1 image. And so I've been using an X-Acto knife and a ruler to get a straight edge, but I'd much rather have an actual paper cutter for something like that. And the other big thing I'm saving up money for is a larger matte cutter. So those are my next purchases. It's like I don't need another camera right now. Do I want more cameras? Hell yes. Yeah, curves are looking pretty good. Curves are looking pretty good. We'll make you brighter in the brightness contrast. Any obvious dust and scratches that I need to deal with? I see one. I see... Nope, that's just daylight. Well, it's like I have a matte cutter already, but my printer is capable of printing images of up to 17 by 22. And that's almost the maximum for my matte cutter. So I want a bit of a bigger one. I mean, I've had that matte cutter since I was in college, and I bought it because I was so sick of my fellow college students, like, either breaking it or, like, stealing the razor blades from it. So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. I'll buy my own. Really like this image. Let's actually make you a little bit brighter. Just a little. Not a whole lot. But if any of you out there watching are curious about some of the other photography work I do, there is the link to my card page. That's like Linktree. It's the link aggregate. So you got my website, Instagram, Vero, DeviantArt, Patreon, Picardo on the very rare times that I edit NSFW stuff over there, which I haven't done in over a year because that's the last time I did a shoot. I need to change that. I was supposed to have one this past weekend, but unfortunately there was a cancellation there, so I developed film instead. But thank you so much for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. As always, I enjoy the pleasure of your company. It's nice to have you. A little more. All right, let's move on to you. So this is one of the images I used in the promo earlier today. And I figure I should probably edit live the images that I use in the promo. So, yes, I thought so too. When I scanned this one in on Sunday, I looked at that one and I went, oh, I like that one. So I'm glad you thought the same. Yeah, curves look pretty good. You know, when you shoot on an overcast day, you can get some of these nice sort of effects. So curves are good. Any obvious dust and scratches? Yeah, I see a couple. I mean, I suppose one of the great things about an image like this is that if there were dust and scratches on it, it probably would not be terribly obvious. But it's obvious in a couple places. So. Wrong layer. Thank you. That always happens at least once. once per art stream. I feel like it's sort of required. Yep. Wrong layer, Kronk. Wrong layer. Why do we even have that layer? Okay. Boop. I am very glad that you are doing like craft fairs and whatnot for your stuff because you do such good work, Icarus. It deserves to be out in the world and seen by people. Nice. Very nice. Don't know if I need to adjust brightness or contrast, maybe a hair. Yeah. Probably a little bit on the brightness too, now that I think about it. Just I just did, bot. I beat you to the punch. Just I got my collection of mugs here that have water in them. I'm getting it's like whatever one I happen to grab at the moment. It's like if there's the buy mug, and then we got a mug that Rosemary and Ethan got. They got for me. This came from the Art Gallery of Ontario. It says art makes you happy, and it does. Craft Fest is funded by the local fiber arts. Yes. Yes, good. And I have another mug I have to break in. When I do my game streams, it just says gamer on it. It's GAYMER, and it's got all the rainbows on it. And it's like, oh, now that I've recently come out, as bi, it's like, oh, now I need to get all the branding. I need to get all the I need to get all the bi merch. I love that's what it's the weekly stitching bitch. I love it. I love it. All right. What else do I want to work on? Let's do this one. Yes. This one was just very interesting to me. So naturally, the oldest part of this cemetery is the part that is closest to the main entrance. It's closest to the street. And they just, would bury. You go up the hill and you get more people buried, and you get newer. So this is near the front of the cemetery. Death date 1819. Again, this cemetery was established in 1790. But I just thought this pattern of weathering from the slate was so interesting. Like, it was very obviously still a sort of New England Puritan inspired marker, but just the way it broke, just, it was, I was, that is cool. But this is one of those, one of the examples of a little too overexposed. But the headstone came out good. The rest of the image is definitely a bit hot, because this is supposed to be is, grass and some pine needles and dirt and fallen leaves. It's not supposed to look like snow. So on the whole, the image itself is a bit overexposed. So so the needle in the camera, my viewfinder, was up just a bit. But again, since you don't know how much you are over or underexposing for, um, it's a learning process. Especially for someone, again, who's not used to a completely fully manual camera. So let's see. Ooh, we have a photography fact. All right. I gotta pull up my list. Okay. This is a new list. That is a fascinating list. Okay. So, Icarus, I will give you the option, or I will roll for it. Pick a number between 1 to 66. $34. What is fact number 34? Oh, I know this one. Okay. So, this one is going to require a visual aid. Hold on. You're going to get that fact in just a hot second. Okay. So number 34 says, the Afghan girl in quotes, was taken in 1984 and published in National Geographic in 1985. However, she didn't realize it became world famous until she was shown her own photo in 2002. You have probably seen the image. It is one of the most famous images in print photography ever. It's that one. So yes, shot in 84, on the cover of the National Geographic, June 1985, but the girl herself didn't know that she became a world famous face. until someone showed her the cover of this magazine in 2002. So, there you are. That is your photo fact. And this is why you should always credit your artist. Good evening, Dragon with Hat, coming in with the solid truth. Yes, indeed. And since we're talking about crediting your photographers, let me get the name of the person who shot the image. So the girl, her name is Sharbat Gula, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. And the photographer was by the name of Steve McCurry. Right. So yes, thank you for that, redeeming that. You got your random fact. But yes, we can stand to make this image a little darker. It's not going to do much for the sort of snow effect that we've got from this slightly overexposed film, this overexposed negative. But we can fix this, you see. Because we have a lovely thing called the burn tool. Ah, dodging and burning. Which is a pain in the ass to do in the darkroom. That's better. Doesn't look quite so blown out around it. There we go. I'll take that. And now for our brightness contrast. There we go. Make that stone look a bit darker. Ooh. Now, let's not tweak the brightness. I just darkened it. Beef up the contrast a bit. And as if there are any artists, creatives in the chat who wish to share some stuff that they're working on, just pop the link in the chat, provided it's safe for work and all that, and I can do a little show and tell. This doesn't have to be the entirely Brian show. I do really need to play this game again. It's been many, many years. And by that I mean Chrono Cross, which is what this fan remix album is all about. Yeah, that looks significantly better than what we started with. Okay, so we've done, let's just close the ones that I've worked on thus far. Just so I can clear my stack. Okay, we'll do another of these, we'll do another headstone. This one I just found amusing because it's like, oh, we have this weathered away stone and clearly other broken, weathered stones were placed in this arrangement around it. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, you know, mama or papa, you know, parent gravestone with their little children gravestones. Yes, I did Dragon with Hat. I shot these on 35mm black and white film. And how did I get them into the computer? I have a high-resolution flatbed scanner. So I have a flatbed scanner, and what I do with it is I load up, if it's 35mm film, I use this little handy device. It's a film holder. I load up 3 strips of 6 negatives, which are what these are. It's 6 images per strip. And pop them into the scanner, and it does its thing. Takes about 35 minutes to do the full roll, because I scan each image at 2400 PPI. You need, and to do that, you need, because you have to do that with film. You have to scan it at a really high resolution. Otherwise, you get an image on your screen that looks this size, but if you were to ever print it out, it's as big as the negative itself. But yeah, that's how I get them into the computer, Dragon. The film dries, I cut it, and then I use my flatbed scanner. Epson makes a really good one that I use. Alright, are we in RGB? Yes, we are. So this is another one that was slightly overexposed. Because again, when you're using a almost 45-year-old camera, there's nothing in there that tells you how many stops you're going over or under by. It's like, okay, the little needle says I'm slightly above dead center, but how many stops is that? So, while I'm here and talking about film, I typically shoot two kinds of film. So this is 35 millimeter. The other type of film that I shoot most often is called medium format, or 120 film. So, and the negatives for that are much bigger. So they look like this, as opposed to 35 millimeter, which is smaller. And same thing, same rules of development apply, and then I just scan it using a different holder. Now let's darken you a bit. And the program that I use Dragon to scan the negatives, it's the program that comes with the scanner. It's called Epson Scan. No, you're not the... I want the burn tool, thank you. Let's just darken you up a bit. There we are. And I love how we have like one of the burial vaults in the background. Oh, I'll tell you a story about the burial vaults in a second. Actually, you know what? No. Let's do that now, because now I have the thought in my brain. So, this particular cemetery, Ithaca City Cemetery, has a number of these types of burial vaults. So I'll show you a couple. So this one I shared on my Facebook the other day, and like my brain tends to make up stories about these little stories, like, because this is a pretty common site that it's a pretty common site in cemeteries that have burial vaults. Usually the entrances to them are either boarded up or locked up, or in some cases like this, they're actually cemented over. And I know objectively, I know rationally, historically, these actions would typically be done by the town or city that owns the cemetery to fix the problem of like vandalism or you know, just weathering, you know, just damage from time. But I get to thinking when I see an entrance to a burial vault, this one here from 1883 for the Lewis family, is not so much what's the town trying to, what was the actual reason they cemented, but more like, what are they trying to contain? What are they trying to keep from escaping? And I got a few responses on Facebook to that question. And it's like somebody said it reminded them of Resident Evil Village. Another person quoted the Edgar Allan Poe story. Like, for the love of God, Montresor! Somebody posted a screenshot of the vampire from Dark Shadows, Barnabas Collins. Just funny. You know, this one's another burial vault, not not cemented up, but one of the portholes here is open, and it's got a metal bar across the door. So it's like, uh-oh, we have an escapee. What's inside? As I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if anyone's played Resident Evil, speaking of Resident Evil, and I know this will make Icarus happy, I'm currently playing through the Resident Evil remake games for the first time, with the full intention that I will I will stream the remakes of 1 through 4 when I finish them all. So a couple years ago, I did. A couple years ago, I think for the 25th anniversary of the Resident Evil series, I played through the original 1 through 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Code Veronica, and 5. And I said that eventually I would do the remakes. And so I'm going to do 1 through 4. And right now I'm in the middle of the Resident Evil 2 remake, then I'll do 3, then I'll do 4, and then I'll do a Resident Evil run of the remakes. Not a problem. Not a problem, Icarus. I knew that would make you happy. You don't live near any burial vaults, but I'm within walking distance of 2 cemeteries, and one of them is creepy as hell. My favorite cemeteries to take pictures in, Dragon, are the old New England Puritan, like Revolutionary War era cemeteries that are all over the place in eastern Massachusetts and up the New England coast. Like, those are my favorites. Like, the last time I went to Portsmouth, I must have stopped in like 4 or 5 different cemeteries. Like, now you have me on the subject. So let me just pull up some. As soon as my external hard drive wakes up. He'll get there. When I was a kid, you thought it was totally normal to have a cemetery next to a playground. Isn't that like how like at least 4 of Stephen King's books start? That's just where my brain went. There we go. Oh God, yeah, it's been 3 years, almost 3 years since I was last in Portsmouth. So, like, I'm going to pull this up. I know this is one of Icarus's favorite ones that I've done. It's the spider skull. And then, like, that's another one. And then from my first ever trip to Portsmouth in 2019, that was where I came across, I think that same trip, I found Chonky Cherub. Was it 2019? It had to have been. Yes, it was. It was Chonky Cherub. That one. But yeah, like that was in Portsmouth. And so was this one, which I really need to edit. Because you find a lot of this. In memory of Captain Tobias Leary, or Lear. November 6, 1781. Age 45. Can't read the bottom of that. But yeah, like... Like, that's just some of the wonderful stuff that yes, old tombstones are badass. Like, Portsmouth, Plymouth, Cape Cod, Salem, Massachusetts is a good one. Boston, just... Funny story, though. Like, the first time I went to Portsmouth and went to visit Lena, the hotel we were staying at just across the border in Kittery, Maine, was very close by to a Dunkin' Donuts because it's New England. There's a Dunkin' Donuts every 6 inches or so. And in the parking lot of this Dunkin' Donuts was a small fenced off, right in the middle of it, couple of old headstones. Like, they built this parking lot and this Dunkin' around the Old Death. Like, you would never find that in New York. They just bulldozed the shit out of it. And then, like, right near where Lena lives, there's a Starbucks. Similar situation. Like, at the entrance to this shopping plaza, they've cordoned off the area where there's like an old tombstone there. Yes, that is definitely a New England thing. Come for the dunk, stay for the dead people, and go Red Sox. You know, the usual. Although, speaking of New England, I will actually be in Boston in 9 days from today as I get ready to go to the annual Nerdular Nerdance that is PAX East, and I am very excited. I do love Boston. It's one of my favorite cities. Oh yes, much better than what we started with. Like when during the pandemic, when I couldn't do photo shoots, so to keep my mind, still sort of artistically engaged, that's what I did. I just went to cemeteries because I knew the subjects wouldn't talk back. There was no risk at getting COVID from dead things. No. So another fun story of death. So, some years ago, my husband was doing some genealogical research and was doing some research into his dad's line, which came from New England and then just settled in this part of New York State. But one of the places that had a pretty large contingent of his ancestry was in a place called Dunstable. And at the time, Dunstable was straddled both Massachusetts and New Hampshire. But you want to get a sense of how tall some of these headstones are. This is how you know you came from money, originally. That headstone is almost as tall as my spouse. This is 2015. Yeah. Uh-huh. And to your point, Dragon, yeah, headstones were really freaking badass. Look at that. They don't make them like this anymore. So yeah, we went cemetery hopping in Dunstable, Massachusetts, and also Billerica, Massachusetts. This was in 2015. This was on an excursion in 2015. All right, let's do another one of these path ones. I really like these. Some of these will wind up on my Redbubble store. I know how much Icarus likes to collect them. Is it pandering? Absolutely. But yeah, I love the old New England cemeteries. We've got in New York State, there's not as many, at least, okay, let me rephrase that. Obviously, with how New York was historically settled, the oldest cemeteries in New York State will be further south. So I live roughly 3 hours from New York City. Yeah, 3 hours north of New York City. So the further south you go, the older cemeteries you're going to wind up getting. Some of the oldest ones are in like Sleepy Hollow, the lower Hudson Valley, the tri-state area, and on Long Island. Something that they did not teach me in grade school. Stuart Kirby. Hello, hello. Good evening and welcome. Yeah, we're going to have to brighten you up just a little. Not too much, though. Although Dragon... Whoa. My internet connection just took a slight nosedive. What the hell happened? Okay, we're good. We had a temporary blip, but so far so good. So far so good. I'm editing some film. Got some people here to keep me company. It's a good night. Hopefully life's good where you are. Too bright. Nice. Arguing with Karens on Facebook. Well, I hope you are successful in your endeavor, I suppose. That seems like a frustrating way to spend one's time, but, you do you. So this one was probably a little underexposed. So we're going to fix some of that. Not too much, though. Don't want it to become so blown out. Whoa! Somebody shut a crap image. We told him. Well, Everybody shoots crap now and again. Even the pros. I can't tell you how much garbage I've shot in my lifetime. Opinion rejected, Karen detected. Well, you know. As long as the criticism was constructive and you weren't just crapping all over this guy for the fun of it. Lord knows I used to have enough professors in college that would do that. Yes, alright. Yes, bot, hydrate everybody. Alright. Lovely. Let's do... Let me see. Let me go back to my images here. Whoops. Where are you? There you are. Did that. So this is something I don't typically see in a lot of cemeteries that are either Catholic or Christian. There is a designated section of this. There's a section of this cemetery that is entirely devoted to bury the dead of the area's local Jewish population, which is something I don't typically see in very many cemeteries at all. Like usually, the way cemeteries will typically you have a designated cemetery for like your non-denominational individuals, or your Christians, Catholics. Never have I seen a Jewish a plot for Jewish dead in the same cemetery, which I thought it was just so interesting. Shot news for 13 years, constantly getting told on images by editor. Yeah. Image mode, RGB color. I actually think that could be stood to be rotated. Yep, just a hair. That's better. Curves are good. Like, and not only is it, just a section to bury the area's local Jews, like, all of the script on the stones are in Hebrew. And it's something I don't really see very often in really any cemetery. I just thought it was so cool. I'm very glad that the camera gave me a good reading for that one, given how old it is. So, one of the things I got for Christmas this year was a portable darkroom, which makes me so happy because I have not been able to make darkroom prints since I graduated college. So we're talking almost 10 years. I can develop film. I can develop film at any time. You don't need a darkroom for that. That's what we're doing tonight. But I got a portable darkroom, and somebody asked me if I could stream. Low Bass Guy. Good evening. How am I? I'm doing very well. How are you doing? But yeah, somebody had asked me if I would be able to stream darkroom developing. And I said that would be very tricky to do. Given that the only light that is typically allowed in a darkroom is red light. Just finished a stream playing Mass Effect. Stu knocked me out and dragged me in here. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. As I am currently working on images that I shot about a week and a half ago in Ithaca City Cemetery in Ithaca, New York. So that's the film. That's the film I shot. On a very, very old camera that my boss loaned me. Loaned me this ancient Pentax K1000 35mm SLR. Fully manual. It was a fun experience. I had never, ever shot on a camera that was completely, fully manual like that. That's a great analogy, Dragon. It would be like streaming from a Virtual Boy. Yes, that is exactly it. Whoa. Hey, thank you for the follow. Odyssey Graphic Designs, thank you for the follow. Good evening. Oh yeah, that's not too far. Yeah. That's an hour. Hey, thank you so much. I mean, there's nothing in Geneva, but I mean, you've got the Finger Lakes in that area. I mean, that has to count for something. You've got some gorgeous stuff there. But yes, working on editing the film that I shot a week and a half ago when I visited Ithaca. specifically the Ithaca City Cemetery, the oldest cemetery in Ithaca, dating back was established in 1790. That's what it was. All right, let's move on to this one. Stu and Odyssey and I are all part of the same Twitch team, so if you meet one of us, you'll probably stumble. Well, thank you all for showing up. Thank you all so much for taking some time out of your Tuesday evening and spending it with me as I do some photo editing. I'll just put this in the chat again if you are curious about some of the other work that I get up to doing, other photography that I do. That is my card page. That's like the links page. That gives you links to my website, Instagram, Vero, Patreon, Redbubble, Picardo, which I very rarely stream at. That's when I have not safe for work stuff to edit that I cannot share on Twitch because Twitch hates nipples. World War III will happen if I start editing like nude work on here. I don't know. I don't make the rules. Yes, this is film. This is 35 millimeter. This is my standard Ilford Delta 400 that I typically use. Which films it's Ilford Delta 400. This particular roll. I warn you, Odyssey, I don't stream on Picardo very much. Sometimes I do, and when I do, I usually will announce it. I have a Blue Sky account. I left Twitter a while ago, so I'm on Blue Sky. That's where I will typically do stream announcements. Delta 400, your favorite film stock? Yep. It's same with me. Like, when I was in college, I used to shoot a lot of HP5. I mean, I'm a little bit of an, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an Ilford snob, but of the different black and white films that I have used, I have found Ilford to be the best. And I know every photographer who shoots film will have their opinion. Oh, I like, Tri-X or Fuji or Arista or Agfa or whatever. But I've always liked Ilford the best. And so when I develop myself, I develop all my black and white film myself. I use Ilford chemistry as well. I figured I'm using the film, I might as well use their chemistry, get a consistent result. I just shot a roll of Agfa. That's oh. So yeah, in the last few years or so, I've shot more medium format. So I mean, I'll typically break out my Ilford Delta 400 for my medium format. Unless I'm in the studio, then I shoot Ilford Delta 100. So, my introduction to 120 was in college. I took a alternative process class, and we all did a couple weeks shooting on a very flimsy, plasticky toy camera called the Holga. That was my introduction to 120. And And I loved shooting with the Holga so much that I was like, I wonder what this would look like in a proper SLR with, sharp focus and everything. And so that was like my big pandemic purchase. I saved up money from my photo shoots and any gift money that I got, and eventually bought myself a used Pentax 645N, and I started shooting medium format, and like worlds opened up for me at that point. you, I love cemetery photos. I'm a photo manipulator, so I so much potential. Yes, I do too. I love going into old cemeteries and seeing what's there. Yes, but I will hail hydrate. Hydrate, everybody. So I also do video game streams. Those are typically done on Friday evenings. Right now, I am currently underway with I'm currently doing my 30th anniversary playthrough of Final Fantasy VI, my favorite Final Fantasy of the entire series. Where are you, Clone Tool? So, but yes, I do video games and I do photography streaming. For those newcomers. I usually save pretty regularly, but I definitely need the reminder to hydrate. That's a thing. Nope. There we go. Get rid of some of the obvious dust and scratches. Because that's what happens with my film scanner. The image correction only works for color, not for black and white. Don't talk to me about pandemic purchases. Yeah. And it was like, because I couldn't do any photo shoots, as I said before, I couldn't do any photo shoots during the pandemic. I just went through a lot of my local cemeteries. X2 never played PC, but I played the crap out of X2. Yeah. No, I've been playing Final Fantasy a long time, and that my 35mm is an Elan 7. Same exact one. And I don't mind how I don't mind the modern conveniences. But that's exactly why I bought one. Cuz my first Canon camera was a Rebel. My first two cameras were, my 35mm was a Canon Rebel, and then I got the digital equivalent, and I have since moved up, so now my 35mm is the Elan 7, and my main digital is the 70D. And the 70D I'm not going to get rid of anytime soon. That was a graduation gift. That was like my spouse and my friends pooled their money together to get me a graduation from college. So that camera also has sentimental value as well. I think my digital rebel was, I think, was a K2. Not knocking them though. Those are even at beginner level. Those are still great cameras. They did the job. Yeah, I would love to eventually get my hands on a professional grade Canon camera, either film. Like, I mean, obviously Canon doesn't make film cameras anymore, but I would love to pick up the EOS 1V. So I'm gonna be streaming for the next I'm gonna be streaming for the next like 20 minutes or so, because it is a work night. Unfortunately, I do need to get off and unwind at some point, but I'll once again put it out to the chat. If any of you out there have some artwork you want to share, doesn't necessarily have to be photography, just as long as keep it safe for work, just post a link in the chat, and we'll do a little show and tell before I call it a night. I do like to share other artists' work whenever possible. Okay. So does eBay. I noticed that. All right. We've got an Instagram. Let me pull that up. Ooh. Oh. Nature and animal photographer. Oh, my original love. What got me into photography in the first place. Nature photography. In high school, I fell in love with Ansel Adams, and that's what started it. Very nice. These are nice. Yep, that got Dragon excited. Snakes! That's a nice dragonfly photo. Beautiful stuff. Oh, wow. And it kept its range. I'm impressed. Reptiles are like 1 degree away. I mean, fair. I can't argue with that logic. Spider. Very nice. Oh, that's just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, that's a follow. Boop. That is a follow. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Icarus. Lovely. Let's, I mean, I gave people permission to share. So... So Icarus is a lovely, lovely artist as well. Oh, I love these. That is still one of my favorites. That is still one of my absolute favorite pieces that you've done. Your own self-portrait. And they're on Instagram as well. So that's, as you can see, my most recent in time-lapse. All right, I will get to that in a second. Oh, I know that one. Inktober 2019. I know you don't I know you don't update your Instagram too often, but I know some of your more recent stuff. Like that quilt. I still have the lovely pillow that you made me with your work on it. Excellent. And now, your most recent work in time-lapse. So let's see. I'm gonna put it on mute here. So it's a... Let me just see if they... Let me just kill the sound on my music here. From start to finish, a pre-made book cover. Okay. Like this stuff is worlds above me. Like the amount of the additional Photoshop knowledge required for this. And I'm assuming that you probably use stock images or other images that photographers have given you or you've purchased. I mean, that makes the most sense. Nice. typically use Adobe Stock 'cause they take all my money. Ah. Okay. Well, we just wrapped up that particular album, so let me go back to my video game remixes here. I know you're here. Yeah, let's do that. Also, make sure to tell you about our team. We're all about supporting our fellow creators. You're welcome to join the community. Awesome. That is awesome. If you want to, if there's a link to that, please let me know. Also, that reminds me, if anyone is currently on here that is a member of what used to be known as the Artist Back Alley and now called Artists Together, they are still voting on the next the raid, when the raid train is going to be for May. So I'll explain to the newcomers in the audience here. Artists Together. I'm still referring it to Artist Back Alley. That was its old name. It's a Discord group made up of any artist, any creative of any skill level, and they share their work on the Discord. And every 2 months, share it here. I'll just open it up, and so then I'll have it. Artist Back Alley, again, Discord group, all creatives, any skill level. It's a very, very supportive community, and every 2 months they do a raid train event, and it's typically on a Saturday, and it's basically all day. So a bunch of artists, doesn't matter what type of artist, illustrator, sculptor, photographer, I know there's a couple who do like fiber arts. There's been clay sculptors, jewelry makers. Every 2 months they do, again, the raid train, and a bunch of artists sign up for it, and they each have a 1-hour slot, and they do their thing, and then at the end of their hour slot, they raid the next person on the train. And this just goes on, so it usually starts at like 11 in the morning, 12 noon, and will usually go on to like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So it's an hour at a time. So let me get a link for the Artists Together Discord group. Because I know my old one previously expired, so that is the current link. I'm gonna open up that link for the web creative community. Your phone's not letting you click on it. That's weird. Interesting. But yeah, like the Artists Together Discord again. We don't. It's a nice mix of like professionals and hobbyists and amateurs. So it's like it's very supportive. It's like we just like to make art, man. All right, let me finish this one up. We're getting pretty close to this one. And then I am going to do one more and then wrap it up for the night. Because unfortunately, it is a work night. And then, as what I usually do, is I will do a... Actually, you know what? I want to do this one instead. Because I love the different style of burial vaults that this cemetery had. So let's just shrink you down a bit. And all of these burial vaults are all cemented up. What is the city of Ithaca trying to contain? Like hobbit holes for the dead. Residents. All right, that was good. That was good. 4 for you, Dragon. All right, that got me. All right, liven you up a bit. That was definitely an underexposed shot. I did. That pun of the night, and typically I dislike puns with a fiery passion. But well done. Cheers, Dragon. That wrong layer. It's happened twice now this stream. Nope, no. So once again, I will probably be sharing some of these on my Patreon pretty soon, methinks. And for those of you who are my $5 and up patrons, I mailed out your patron prints today. So for those of you in the audience, So I do have a Patreon. I have it's a small but very loyal audience, and one of my reward tiers is that if you subscribe at the $5 per month level or higher, I mail you a physical print of the work that I choose for that month, and it could be anything. It could be a nude, it could be a cemetery image, it could be one of my other studio images, it could be nature, it could be architectural, whatever. So, but those went out this week. Yeah, I mailed those out yesterday, not today. So they should be gracing your mailboxes soon. Okay. Let's add a little contrast to that. All right. So as I always like to do to wrap up an art stream, I like to just do a recap just to show what was done in case anybody missed any portion of the streams. So let me just break out my good friend Adobe Bridge. So we started with this one. And then we went to... I'm not going to do these in any order. I just knew we started with that one. Actually, let's... Yeah. Just going to make you a bit bigger. There we go. Start with that one, and then we went to this one. Then we have you. And then we had the flaking headstone. Like I know we just ended on that. We got a few more. Then we had the shot of the entrance to the Jewish portion of the cemetery. All in all, not a bad test with that old Pentax at all. Which was what this particular roll of film was largely about. Just me playing around with a 45-year-old camera and just having fun. That is probably my favorite of this set. Thank you so much, Low Bass Guy. Okay, let me just get a pronunciation. Is it low bass as in the fish, or low bass like the instrument? And that is what? So we worked on... What if you're a fish that sings really low? Well, then confusion! Wouldn't that make you a low bass bass guy or a low bass bass guy? You'd have a double in there. All right. So yeah. So let me see if there's anyone currently streaming, any other artist I can bring you all to See if anyone is currently doing the art thing. Smoochy Moo Moo. Now, right now it's pretty quiet on my end, so let me just have a look at Smoochy Moo Moo. Smoochy Moo Moo, who's currently playing The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Yep, they're doing a game at the moment. Oh, I didn't scroll up far enough. So there's another artist friend that I follow who's currently doing game design. So I will send you over to Fancy Schmancy. So let's get that raid going in there. So thank you all so much for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for the introduction to the web team there. Thank you so much. I'll definitely be following up on that. So next stream will be this Friday evening, starting around 7:30 p.m. between 7:30 and 8 Eastern. That's for more Final Fantasy VI. So until I see you all again, stay healthy, stay safe, good night, and joy be with you all, everyone. Be well.